Hey guys, how's it going? This is Marvin. I'm an SE at Cisco. And if you've watched my previous videos on how to set up your Python environment, how to use your Cisco APIs to get work with some of your Cisco security products like your Firepower, you're probably ready to do some more with scripting and using Python. So one of the best places to go would be learninglabs.cisco.com. You need a login. You can use Facebook or Google or your Cisco website login to get access to this website. What's nice about this website, it has tons of examples on different kinds of programming API interfaces and tons of sample scripts as well. So you can actually use the equipment within the Learning Labs test site, or you could copy the scripts and use it in your own environment. So as you can see here is login start lab. So we're going to go and look at one of these labs here. Let's look at this CRUD operations, create, update, delete, things like that. All right, so let's log in here. And it's going to ask me to log in. See, these are all the different login options. As you can see, we've got tie-ins with GitHub, Google, Facebook, and then there's a bunch of Cisco stuff here. But I'm going to log in with my Cisco credentials, and that's going to take a second. And there, I'm in the lab. And now, this the beginning part, just like any other lab, it provides you with what you're doing, what are the different scenarios within the lab you're going to work with. But on page 2, it actually has some test scripts that you could start. You could copy and paste and basically get some stuff done. So in here, we're going to be using a post operation script. We're going to have to import these libraries, and we're going to have to obviously edit some different parts of the script, like the username, the actual IP address of our firewall, the password, etc. But what we're looking at is a script that will execute and create 1,000 objects, okay, within our firewall. And again, this is not a particular use case that anyone may have. It's more of a helping you understand how a Python script can be used. So let's copy this. And I'll show you some of the pitfalls or difficulties that you could run into when you copy a script like this and try and execute it. So in my previous video, I showed you guys how to do Notepad++ or any other text editor. I chose to use Notepad++. Some people prefer using PyCharm, whatever, but that's just a preference, really. And when you copy this script here, as you can see, it starts with the imports. It's telling you all the different operations. So let's change some of this stuff here, okay? Let's edit that too. That's the IP address of my Firepower Management Console. Let's put in the username and password. Okay. Now, remember we talked about the token getting generated. Within this script, as you can see here, it's going to go and try and do a token generation. I also have here, as you can see, a uncommented line here that says, hey, don't bother checking for my SSL cert. Okay? As long as my username and password is good, just use basic auth and verify the certificate is false. This means if I don't have an actual certificate on my FMC, it's not going to fail. Okay? And then it's basically telling me like, hey, it's going to go look for, it's going to generate a token, copy that token. If the token is not there, I'll get an error message saying, hey, the token was not there. I'm going to change this from 1000 to just a 10. So I just want to create 10 objects. And the name I'm going to choose here is YouTube-py. Okay. And now we have to change, obviously, the domain ID. Okay, so how do I get my domain ID? We looked at that in a previous video, but I'll show you again. So there's a couple ways you can do that. One, we can go to Postman and run a get, or I could just go to the API 176, sorry. API/API Explorer site. I will log in as the admin. Give that a second. That just took a few seconds to log in. So once I log in, I can go to any of these here, these different, and click on the post, and you see this here, the domain, device records, etc. So all I have to do is copy this domain ID here. And we've covered what domain ID is. So within FMC, you can have multiple domains, okay? And the benefit of that, having multiple domains, is every domain can have its own firepower threat defense that it manages. So that gives you that flexibility where you could have role-based authentication, and because of that role-based authentication, you can now just have access to that one domain. So by even using APIs, we're still secure where you don't have a user can use make changes to someone else's firepower threat defense in another domain, because your token and your username and password and this domain ID are all used together to provide you access to the one to the right firepower threat defense, and prevent you from making changes to someone else's environment. Okay, so now let's save this. Okay, so we also covered in the previous video how you have to save your files to a certain location, so you don't have, so you can execute the scripts easily. So I'm going to call this Python 1. Okay, let's call this object 1.py. The .py is the extension you want to save all your scripts as. I'm saving all my scripts under Python scripts and hit save. Now you can see here my script has been saved, and let's try executing this and see what kind of errors we get. Okay, so the script is going to start by importing these libraries. Let's check my username and password, generate a token. It's going to ignore my certificate. It's going to see if I get a token, if auth token, print auth token not found. Otherwise, it's going to say, okay, move on. Then it's going to start executing this API here. It's going to look for the information I've provided and start creating tokens, objects within my firepower management console. So let's go ahead, and if we save this, let's open up a command line prompt here. Okay, now I'm going to switch to my go back to the C drive, and then go to CD Python scripts, and then from here I can execute my script, which is, I called it object1.py, and execute. If I don't have any errors, it should execute. So I'm getting the insecure warning because I've used a bad thing, but as you can see here, it started creating my YouTube PYs 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Alright, so it created all 10. Post was successful. That's what you want to see. There's one thing I didn't show you when you were creating your entire environment. So let's say you went ahead and ran this script here, right? And you got library issue problems and said, hey, your library's not, you don't have the right libraries. So this is how easily you can fix this, alright? So all you got to do here is do the pip install requests. So what that does is all these requests, all these different libraries will get installed. So whenever you copy someone's pre-written script and they're importing all these different libraries, you won't get any errors saying, hey, you don't have the libraries. All you got to do is run this pip install request, hit enter, and then you have to, but I have to be in the right location. So let's do that. Let's move to the right location and run this script, run this pip. So let's go to the right location here. Let's cd. Oh, we already right there actually. CD local. Nope. Forgot the location. CD app data, CD local, CD programs, CD Python, CD Python, that one. Here we do a dir. What I'm looking for is this folder here called scripts. So go to CD scripts. So we've covered that in the previous video. I can't execute certain scripts if I'm not in the actual folder, right? So in the previous example, to execute this script here, I had to go to the Python scripts folder. So now I have to go to this folder here, the scripts folder, and here I can do a dir, and you'll see I have these pip exe executable scripts. So I can type in pip install script, install request, sorry. And what that's going to do is it's going to go ahead and say, okay, I'm going to try and install these. And it says requirement already satisfied, already satisfied. So if you're ever running a script that you've downloaded or copied from some other location, you get, you don't have the right libraries, kind of error messages, just go ahead and download this and you should be fine. And what you should see, I have a snippet because I did that previously on my computer, so I don't have that. But you'll get this basically, like, hey, you know, pip install request, and it'll download and it'll install it, kind of like a yum update on Linux or something like that. Okay, so now let's log into our FMC. Okay, and see if those objects were actually created. So uh, So now log in here, you'll get a message saying, hey, someone else is already logged in, but because that's we're using the same username and password, and only one admin can be in the system at a single time, because you don't want two people making changes to your system at the same time. So go to the objects, object management, and let's take a look and see if those networks were created. So what we were doing in that script, let me pull that up real quick. Here. So in that script, what we were doing, we were creating objects and we were creating networks. And we created 10 of those from 0 through 10 with this name. Okay, so let's go and see what got created. So if we go back into our network under objects, we object network, and let's scroll. We have 4 pages. Let's scroll to page 4. We should see the different network objects that were created, all of them automatically for us. And you know, this is a simple example of using a script to make your life a lot easier, to make your life a lot faster, to help with automation. I hope this video helps, and thanks for watching, guys. Appreciate it.